Hello, my name is Rachel Reisner and I'm a certified professional pet sitter in Montreal, Canada. I am a cat sitter. I visit cats in their own homes and I also board small caged animals in my home. And today I have with me one of my boarders, Noisette, who is a 5-month-old guinea pig. So she's going to help me demonstrate some of the grooming services I offer my pet clients. Now, I don't consider myself to be a professional groomer, but I do do some light grooming when I visit pets. For example, I can brush out fur, and I do bring my own tools, which I clean and disinfect between each client, or I can use the client's own tools as well. I think it's important for the pet's well-being that they be regularly brushed, and also that they have nails that aren't too long so it catches on fabric and rugs and things, and it would be very uncomfortable. So that's one of the services I offer, and it's included with pet sitting if I have time to do it, because I charge based upon time. Oh, no. And also if the animal is amenable to it, because if the animal is not cooperative, then unfortunately I would be unable to provide the service. So I thought that Noisette could help me demonstrate what I do with that. So I'm gonna put Noisette down and I'm gonna show you the contents of my bag, and hopefully not, I tried to sort of camouflage the mess in my house because I do have a young child, so there's just piles of toys and things everywhere. But I'm gonna try to show you a quick demonstration of what I have in my kit. So this is what I use to hold everything. And I often carry around it's a huge tote bag that's currently in my car, actually, that I do have with me because I drive to every pet sit, so I have that with me. And some of the things I have is, I'm going to, let's see if I can do this, have it lined up here. Nobody else does this, but I'm just going to show you. So that is the lineup. So let's see if I can. Okay, maybe that's a little bit better. Oh, no, you can see the mess. Okay. All right, so that's that. And then I'm going to show you what they are one by one. If I can get this thing to stand up. At least hopefully it's not sideways like my first Facebook Live was sideways, but okay. Okay, so I guess in order of least things that I least use, but I have anyway, is dry shampoo. Which I could use it, but only for a premium visit, not a basic visit, because it takes a while to rub in the shampoo into the fur for cats, and then you basically just polish it off with a dry towel. So that does take some time. So I would recommend only if you want that service, then you'd have to book a premium visit, which is 45 to 60 minutes. So the other things I have are, I do have 2 Furminators, but I find that actually I had invested in these first when I first started pet sitting, and I find that I never use them, because even during deep shedding time, I use other tools. So I'm going to move on. I use, this is one of the things I use. It's a de-shedding comb. So it has longer tines or teeth and then shorter teeth, so it helps to pull out the undercoat, especially, no, don't do that, especially, yeah. So I use this particularly for long-haired cats. It's not as effective for short-haired cats. And then also, this comb is actually a comb that I recommend to all of my clients, whether it's a short-haired cat or a long-haired cat. This is an excellent basic comb. It has a very easy to hold handle, so I find it's easy to use. So you could try to use this on your guinea pig, but unfortunately the tines are just, it doesn't do a good job of catching the fur. So it does some, but the problem is that the loose fur that you pull up is going to be, it's not gonna go anywhere. So I don't really recommend this so much for guinea pigs. Hey, sweetie, she's licking me, so that's good. So what I do, and another item I have is a Zoom Groom for also for cats and fine-haired rabbits and things. This is excellent because it helps to very gently pull out loose fur, and you can get a lot of fur with this. And it's small, so you can move very easily, so I highly recommend that as well, the Zoom Groom. And then this is another comb that I also recommend to clients because it's inexpensive and it's basic and it covers everything because you have the loose tines. So if there's a mat, you can help pull it out with this comb, and then it has more fine tines, and then you can you know, comb out more of the mat and also other types of fur. So this is a fine comb, and it's usually around $10, so it's one of the more inexpensive combs, and it's basic, it covers everything. It's great because say if your cat has an accident and it has poop stuck to the back of its bottom, you can comb it out using this, and then you can also easily clean it afterwards because there's no other, it's very simple, straightforward, it's excellent. Although, I mean, I find that this comb is a little bit, I use this one myself, I prefer it because I find the handle is easier to hold, but it's really whatever is easiest for you to use. And my current favorite comb is this comb, which is the HairBuster, which is often marketed towards rabbits. And I find that it's just excellent for rabbits, fine-haired cats, and guinea pigs. So I'm going to demonstrate it on Noisette because it has this silicone strip right here that helps to catch the fur. So it's gentle because it doesn't pull out huge clumps of fur. That would be painful, but it does the job. And actually you can do a DIY version of this, say using a comb like this, and take a rubber band. I've seen YouTube videos on this. Is you take a rubber band, you cut it in half, so it's one strip, and then you thread it through the tines of the comb. So that's one way of making your own DIY comb. Because when I bought this, it was super expensive. This was one of my most expensive grooming tools next to the Furminators, which are I think roughly $65. It depends on where you buy them. But this was including duties and tax and everything, was around like $35, $40 because I bought it from a US supplier. Now, actually, I did see just recently that it is available on Amazon.ca because I'm in Montreal. So it's available on Amazon.ca for about $25. So I do recommend this, even though it seems like a lot because this comb is about $10 and this comb is about $25. It is an excellent comb. It has an easy to hold handle. It has this, which is great for almost all different types of fur. So I recommend it for cats, rabbits, especially because rabbits have very fine fur. So it's very hard to find combs that will grab the fur and not just leave it there so that you're just brushing and nothing's happening. And it's just the right size. It's just fantastic and durable. I've used this for at least a year and I highly recommend it. So this is one of my favorite combs right now. So I'm going to demonstrate actually what I do. So here is Noisette. So I'm going to comb here. Let's see, I'm going to do this over here. Noisette's talking to me. She's saying hi. So I'm just very gently, and when you comb an animal, you want to do short strokes. You don't want to go from like head to tail and keep going, because what if you hit a snag? If anyone who has had long hair and has had a tangle in your hair, no, you do not, that's not how you comb a tangle out of your hair. You want to do very short strokes because you don't want to hurt yourself and you don't want to hurt an animal, because if you are too rough with them, they're not going to cooperate and you're not going to be able to finish what you have to do. So say if they have mats, if they're shedding a lot and you want to get rid of all of that dead hair, they're not going to permit you to touch them to do that. So oh no, don't chew my hair. So you want to make sure that your animal is comfortable and feels safe and knows that you're not going to hurt them and that you're not going to hurt them. Yeah, sweetie. And also that you can get the job done. So I'm combing the guinea pig. And yes, even though she is a short-haired guinea pig, she does still need to be combed regularly to help with coat health. Maybe, I don't know, once a week or so. So that way you can, and if you can see here, let's see if I can get it to focus on this. You can see that it is catching the fur. Let's see if I can, Not quite sure how to get, okay, good. It is catching the fur, and it's that silicone strip that's helping to catch the fur because the other comb isn't doing that. Yeah, sweetie. So I'm just gently doing this. And Noisette is a very friendly, nice, mild-mannered guinea pig. So she is totally fine with me touching her. And I'm being very calm about it. Yes, I love my guinea pig boarders. They're some of my favorite boarders because they're so social and demanding. It's just feed me all the time. And Noisette is no exception. She's so great. I have to say, whenever, when my guinea pig boarders, when it's time for them to go home, the house is just so quiet. It feels very sad. It makes me want to go out and get a guinea pig, or two actually, because guinea pigs are herd animals, so they're, actually in some countries, it's illegal to have only one guinea pig. In some countries, like I think Switzerland is one of them, you can only get 2 guinea pigs at least because they like to have buddies, and they get really lonely and stressed out if they're by themselves. And I mean, yes, there are some guinea pigs that like being by themselves, but for the most part, for this species, for guinea pigs, they prefer to be with other guinea pigs. So, all right. Okay, and then other things that are in my kit are nail trimmers, and I replace these as needed. So the trouble with nail trimmers is actually it's nearly impossible to sharpen them. So what you have to do is basically just like nail clippers. When they start to get dull, you have to just buy a new pair. So I do that maybe twice a year. It just depends on how often you use them, and then and if they're doing the job. Because when you trim animals' claws, you want to make sure that it's a very clean cut. It's almost like slicing into a stick of butter with a butter knife. You want it to be that clean. You don't want the nail clippers. One sign of dull nail clippers is that they will either crush the nail so that it'll look like the nail was splintered, almost like splintered wood, or trying to think, it just won't be as clean, or it'll just mash it up into bits. No, or it'll just mash it up into bits. So you want to have very sharp nail clippers, and I find that with often in clients' homes is they have their own nail clippers, but actually the nail clippers are just, they've had them for like 15 years and the nail clippers are not sharp. So that's very important to have sharp nail clippers, because it can cause your animal pain. If the nail clippers are not sharp, then they'll have splintered nails. You know, it's like having a hangnail almost. You want to make this as pain-free as possible. And also it's just easier to use when you have a nice new nail clippers. Now they have all different types of nail clippers. Sometimes I do use a more, they look almost like tiny hedge trimmers, which is fine too. I chose these just because I do have to replace them. Every so often I chose just the most effective, inexpensive one that I could find at the moment. So this one was about, I think it was about $7. So this one works for me. I've also seen ones that are more like a guillotine type, which are fine too, if that's the easiest one for you. It's whatever works, whatever you can use that is sharp, that will work. So let's see actually if she'll let me, let's see if she'll let me, now it's important to start handling your animals very young so that they'll get used to it, so that it won't be traumatic and they won't refuse to let you do things that you have to do to them, like trim their nails. So let's see if she'll let me, I don't know, she might be, well, okay, she seems a, okay, no, she seems a little worked up now, so maybe I'll try this another time. So I don't want to stress her out. And that's another thing too, is I don't like to force, let's see if I can get this, so you can see my face. I don't like to stress out the animals. So if I can be firm and I can do what I can, that if I'm hired to groom an animal, to hold them away, that I can brush them as needed and trim their claws. But if the animal's really protesting, if they're very stressed out, it's just you know, it's just not humane to force the issue, because they could get very stressed out and it could make them physically sick. Also, it could cause injury to me as they can scratch or bite me. And, you know, no one wants that to happen. So, okay, so nail trimmers. And then other items I have are Styptic Powder. So this I have around because, when you cut an animal's nails, you want to only cut the nail. You don't want to get down to the quick, which is where the blood is. So sometimes, though, you try to just trim just the very tip. You don't want to trim a huge amount. I often am asked by clients to make their nails as short as possible, but that's not always possible. There's only enough nail, and when you run out of nail and you get to the quick, you have to stop cutting, because maybe their quick is somewhat long and you really don't want them to bleed. But it does sometimes happen, and that's why I have the Styptic Powder, which I use sort of as a last resort, because if I do cut a little bit of too much nail and they start to bleed, I first try to apply pressure to stop the bleeding, which usually works. And then if that doesn't work in a few seconds, then I go to the Styptic Powder. Is you just pour a little bit out and you dip their nail in, and it instantly stops the bleeding. The only problem with that Styptic Powder is that it does sting a little bit, so that's why I use it as a last resort, because I don't want to cause the animals pain. Some other things you can use, household things, if you don't have Styptic Powder, is like flour or cornstarch. You could use those as well. If you just, but you know, you have to have it right next to you when you're trimming the nails. It's not as easy if you have a bleeding animal, and then you have to go searching through your cupboards. So you want to get everything all set out when you groom your animal. And I'm willing to also show my clients how to do that themselves. I think it's important that animal owners know how to properly take care of their animals. And maybe this is their first pet and they don't know how to, they've never done it before, they're worried they might hurt the animal. But you never know until you try. And you might be surprised that if you try it a few times and you get comfortable, the animal gets comfortable, and then it just becomes a routine that you don't have to stress out about. You just do it every couple of weeks. So that's Styptic Powder. Some other items is, so I do clean and disinfect all of my tools after each client. So I will be cleaning this. And so how I do it is that I use this, which was one of my daughter's toothbrushes, which I think it was actually new when I started using it. I don't think she ever used this one. So I clean the tool, and this is Dawn dish detergent, Blue Dawn, as it's sometimes called. So I clean it first with a dish soap. So it cleans off all the oils and the hair and dirt and things. And then I disinfect with this, which is a pet safe. It's an antibacterial, anti-fungal, anti-everything. It's used by pet groomers because it's pet safe. But what it does is it kills all the things, the microscopic things that you can't see. So that way, because I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but when I first started out, I was trying to clean my tools with alcohol swabs. But actually, alcohol is not safe for cats. And it doesn't actually kill what you want it to kill. So that actually wasn't a good option. But, I learned, and I did more research, and I found that the best way to do it was to clean first and then disinfect. So first you clean it, you get everything off, then you have to dry the tool. So I have paper towels, although I prefer to use the clients so that I don't have to carry all of this myself. And then you spray this on until it's all totally covered, and then you have to let it dry for about 2 or 3 minutes to kill everything. And basically I have a routine when if I'm including grooming and a pet visit, and I can only do that with a premium 45 to 60 minute visit. I just don't have time to do it in a 20 to 30 minute basic visit. What I do is I'll groom first. Maybe I'll feed them first, and then I'll groom. And then I clean and disinfect the tools. And then while I'm waiting for the disinfectant to kill everything and dry, I'll scoop the litter boxes and other things. So that's how I do time management. And then you can dry off the excess and then pack everything away. And it's all clean and disinfected for the next client. because I think cleanliness is important, because I never want to transfer, if there's something that one of the clients has, maybe they're not even aware of it, I don't want to transfer that to another client. So every client starts out with fresh, clean tools. And then the other thing I have in my bag are cotton swabs, because actually I use this sometimes for when I'm cleaning water fountains, because you'd be surprised with cat water fountains. Some of them are pretty elaborate, but they're all basically the same, and they have to be cleaned. So what that usually entails is you have to disassemble them, take them all apart, wash them, all the little nooks and crannies, which is where the toothbrush and the cotton swabs come in, because there are all these little things, and wash them all with dish soap, and then put it back together again. And that's important to do at least every few days, and even every day if your cat is really messy and paws at the water a lot. So those are the things I have in my grooming toolkit, and that I have available to use on my clients. And so I can bring my own tools for grooming, or I can use the client's own tools if the client prefers that, which is totally fine as well. I find that, oh, and I also have a slicker brush right here. I find a lot of clients actually have a lot of clients will have only a Furminator and a slicker brush, which I find ineffective with, so if your cat or rabbit has a mat in their fur, neither of these are going to be very effective at removing the mat. One of these combs is, or just one of these combs is going to be a lot more effective, because you're going to want to very gently break at the mat if it's a small mat, not if it's a huge mat that has to be shaven off by a professional groomer. You're going to want to gently pick at the mat and like break it, and then very gently loosen it and pull it out. And you're not going to be able to do it with Furminator, which is a de-shedding rake. It should not be used every day. It should only be used sparingly, because if you use it too much, you can actually create bald spots in your pet. So while it is effective at certain things, like say during shedding season, or every so often, if you want to get a massive amount of hair out, it can be useful for that, but it's not really meant to be used every day. And then the slicker brush is actually mainly to help redistribute the oils on the pet skin. It's not necessarily to help with de-shedding or to get mats out. So for example, the human equivalent would be like a boar's hairbrush. So it's not something that you use to get out the tangles. It's really something that you help to use to make your hair look more shiny. So it has its own purpose, but if you only have one grooming tool for your cat, guinea pig, not hamster, maybe for a long-haired hamster, for a cat, guinea pig, rabbit, then I would recommend a simple comb like this, or like this. And then if you want two tools, and I've actually blogged about it on my blog at www.catsandhamsters.com/blog. If you want to have two tools instead of just this one, then I would suggest a Zoom Groom or some other similar silicone brush. And I really like the Zoom Groom because it's easy to buy. It's available almost everywhere. And also it's just the right size because it's small, so it's easy to maneuver, and it's effective. So that if you have, if it's shedding season, for example, it can help because it's silicone, so it's got that little bit of tacky feel to it. It can help to grab the fur, but in a very gentle way. So it can, especially when there's a lot of excess fur, so you can just brush and brush, and you can very quickly Zoom Groom, groom out a lot of extra dead fur. So I recommend especially those two combs, but also this one, like I said, is one of my favorite, the HairBuster, which is not just for rabbits, but it's great for cats and guinea pigs, especially with the fine fur because of the silicone thing. Yes, so you know what? Noisette has been great. So those are some of the services that I offer. In addition to pet sitting, I can also just come to visit to, not my ring. I can also just come to visit just for grooming. I do have some clients that have me come regularly just to brush out their cats or their rabbits and to trim claws, which is fine too. Generally, if I'm literally only doing grooming, then I can do it within a basic 20 to 30 minute visit. But if I have to do anything else, including litter box scooping or feeding or anything, then it would probably have to be a premium 45 to 60 minute visit. I don't know that. Okay, so I think that's it for my grooming video. Once again, please check out my website, www.catsandhamsters.com. You can also like my Facebook page. Facebook is Cats and Hamsters. I'm also on Instagram, which is Cats and Hamsters Montreal. Or maybe it's Montreal Cats and I think it's Cats and Hamsters Montreal. And once again, I know it's only the start of January, but if you need any pet sitting or pet boarding during spring break, which is March 2nd to the 10th, 2019, I strongly suggest contacting me as soon as possible for to schedule either a free consultation that we can meet, or if you're a returning client, to schedule your to reserve your pet care needs, because it's one of the busiest times of the year for me. So I strongly recommend contacting me now. Yeah, sweetie. Okay. So thank you once again. My name again is Rachel Reisner. I'm a professional pet sitter in Montreal, Canada. And okay, thank you very much for your time. Bye.